What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Diesel Creek. My name's Matt. As you know, I have a thing for auctions, and a couple videos ago there was the big Ritchie Brothers auction here by the house, so of course we came up to the sale, had a look around, and wound up spending some money on some stuff, but I think I got some pretty good deals. The last of which was this Freightliner step van we're coming to pick up today. I wasn't able to pick it up originally because they didn't have the title, so they finally called me the other day and said, hey, we got the title in, so let's go see if we can't get this thing shoved onto a trailer and then take it home and see if we can get this thing to start. There she be. That's the baby we're after right there. Well, this thing here doesn't look like much, but could be a good buy. It's been sitting here for over a year at this point. It's in the inoperable aisle. I don't know why. But it's got a 24 valve Cummins in it. It's got these nice fuel hose setups. So that's pretty slick. Crappy toolbox here with random assorted junk in it. But a few good little odds and ends. Nice little workbench here with the locking drawers. You know, that's great for mobile setup. Nice fuel tank in it, and it has onboard air, decent little Vise. You know, it was definitely a service truck of some kind, but it's in the inoperable aisle for a reason. Reasons I do not know. So I picked this gem up for $2,750. I think after the auction fees and taxes, we were a little over $3,000, but all in all, not too bad. It's a 2002 model, MT55, I believe it's called, but it's just a step van by Freightliner. I don't know too much else about it yet. It has a 5.9 Cummins in it and an Allison automatic transmission, has a PTO generator and a PTO compressor, and we'll check out the inside here in a minute, but I want to try and get this thing out of here first. And we should be pretty much good to go, except for the one front tire here is flat. And it's not just flat, it's off the rim. So I'm going to throw a bottle jack under here and maybe we can get this thing up off the ground and do the old ether pop and get this thing on the rim. Oh, we got the tire on there. How do you shoot it with some ether? Got the loader guy pulling me right now. Wish the defrosters worked. Yeah, it looks a little funny, but really this thing isn't that heavy. This shouldn't be a problem. When we first put it on there, we had it shoved all the way up front, and it really shoved down on the truck, which made it look worse. Plus, the truck's sitting on a slight upward angle, which also makes it look worse. But I haul a lot of stuff, and I can usually get the load balanced pretty well. And just judging by my trailer tires and looking at the distance between the bed and the rear tires on the truck there, I think we got it loaded pretty well. So I'm guessing this thing weighs around 12,000 pounds. 5'9", Allison, various junk in the rear. So no more than 13. So we are pushing my legal weight on the trailer, but should be still within it, but just barely. The ramps won't close, so I got them ratchet strapped up there. I even did it twice because we found out the bumper pretty darn rusted. He started pushing on it and it just bent like easy, like nothing. So yeah, I didn't notice all that rust before I bid on it, but what are you gonna do? It's part of getting your auction on, you know what I mean? Part of me was also pretty excited to go home and get these doors open because I couldn't get them open here at the auction. I wanted to see what was in that compartment. Nothing. Nothing's in that compartment. The floor is completely gone out of it. That's a bit of a bummer, but the truck still isn't in terrible shape. It's just the back end there seems to be where all the rust was at. You know, all the salt from the rear tires would have sprayed up there. The body itself is all aluminum, so really only aside from the bumper and the air tanks, all the steel stuff is heavy metal framework and all that. So enough jabbering, let's get home. Well, would you looky there, guys? We made it home safe and sound. Everything went according to plan, I guess you could say. Yeah, it rode pretty decent. I could have had just a little teeny bit more tongue weight actually, but not bad at all. You usually do rather have a little too much tongue weight than not enough though, because things get the swaying around and stuff. If I was taking this thing any great distance, I would have definitely stopped and unchained and slid the thing up a little bit further and chained it back down, but for going just a few miles like we did, not too bad at all. So I guess I'll show this thing off to you if you didn't see it in the previous video, and then we'll go ahead and try and get this thing started so we can just drive it off the trailer rather than do the sketchy thing and drag it off by myself. So this truck belonged to an environmental service group around here. Which actually leads me into a good time for a little story here. I get asked all the time where the name Diesel Creek came from. Well, it was a series of unfortunate events, really. So here we are sitting in the truck right now, and I tell you what, this is the first time I've actually sat in this truck, and it's pretty darn comfortable. This seat's great. I might end up putting this in one of my trucks. It's an automatic. Everything's dusty. This thing has been sitting in the auction yard for several years now. It was already in an Iron Planet auction at one time. I'm gonna have to look up that number, see if I can find anything on it. It's got trailer brakes. That's nice. We got the Chelsea PTO here for the air compressor and the generator system. I did not see an odometer anywhere. I don't know if it's hidden or if there just isn't one or what, but yeah. I don't know how many miles are on this thing. There is an hour meter here, and it has 5,671.2 engine hours, which I don't think is terrible. Oh, next PM, next preventative maintenance, 160,500. So, there's an odometer somewhere that we're not seeing. This thing's got all kind of auxiliaries hooked up here. We got a switch right here. I have no idea what that does. A master switch, light bar, beacon, rear flasher, aux 1 and 2. No idea what any of these switches do. So that's pretty cool. You know what, I bet you these were switches for lights on the side of the truck to project light out there in a working situation. Looks like we picked us up a Cobra 29 LTD Classic too in the process here. 3, count them, 3, 1, 2, 3 Napa blower fans in this thing, so you're staying cool somehow in here. There's no AC though. Tons of other various garbage just floating around in here. Nothing but the best stuff here. It's always kind of fun to rummage through this stuff though, because you never know what the people left in here. You might find something that's still good. These things, I use these things all the time. Love having those around. So you never know. Look, we got the PTO compressor operations, installation and part manual right there. This is a pass-through door that goes into the back. They got it locked up here. Over here on the passenger side, I think we have our battery box. Looks like, oh man, this is a mess. Yeah, so connections are hooked positive to positive. So this is a 12-volt system, so we can jump this with anything. Well, I got the cables from the Jeep here thrown onto it. We're gonna let that sit there and charge a while. These batteries, like I said, have been sitting, this truck has been sitting in the yard dead for 2 or 3 years now, so I doubt these batteries are gonna come back, but we'll try. All right, here it is. It's a mess. 2 years of people at the auction rummaging through it, so you know it's had its fair share of pillaging, but there is still some good stuff in here. So I was just rummaging through the back of the old Freightliner van here, looking for some of the ransacked treasures that are littered all over the place. And I know this is a bit overwhelming for a lot of people, because I get comments all the time, people telling me how they could never do what I do because it's just such an undertaking and there's such a risk involved. And truth be told, that's what I appreciate about doing the auction stuff. But I know a lot of other people don't. So one of the websites you can get some screaming deals on for all kind of different products, and they're all brand new, so you don't have the risk of winding up with something like this on your hands, is Deal Dash. Now, if you've never heard of Deal Dash, they have an iOS app, Android app, and the website, dealdash.com. They've been around for 13 years now, and they are the sponsor of today's video. Deal Dash has hundreds of auctions daily on brand new items ranging from TVs to laptops to tools and kitchenware. They even have cars, all with guaranteed free shipping, so you can't beat that. You can use Deal Dash both on their website, dealdash.com, as well as through iOS and Android apps. All auctions start at $0, and each bid raises the final auction price by 1 cent and resets the clock by 10 seconds. After 10 seconds runs out, the final bidder wins and can claim the auction win by paying the final price. Users of DealDash.com have gotten items like a mountain bike for $11 or an iPad for less than $24. They've even sold a 4K TV for under $2. Use the promo code DIESELDEALS for a bonus worth $10 when making your first bid pack purchase and start bidding. I'm bidding on a 2022 Sea-Doo GTI 90. Current bid's only $1,317, and all you gotta do is be the last person to bid on the thing. I'm also using their bid buddies that I don't have to sit here and watch this thing. It'll automatically bid for me. So I guess what I'm saying is if you don't want to wind up in a van down on Diesel Creek, you should try out Deal Dash today. Don't forget to use your promo code DIESELDEALS for a bonus worth $10 on your first bid pack purchase. But I won't bother you with any more than that. Let's get back to the old Freightliner here and see if we can't get this thing to start. There really is a lot of little odds and ends in here that add up to be worth quite a bit of money. We'll just start on the left here, the big ticket items. These two Reelcraft hose reels. This top one's set up for air, so we got quite a nice bit of air hose here, and big air hose at that. I'm imagining the PTO compressor that's hooked to this truck puts out quite a bit of air. So if you don't know, these Reelcraft reels are really nice, expensive reels. I think these are in the neighborhood of 800 bucks a piece. Below that, we have a fuel hose. Below that, we have a fuel hose reel. This is set up for diesel fuel, and it also has a quick attach on the end there, which that's pretty nice. I think they probably have this set up where you can reverse the flow and actually suck fuel out of stuff too, which is, I've seen people do that before. Got a nice big meter here to show you how much fuel you're pumping. Good filter housing set up. Seems to be a never-ending supply of these shop lights here wired onto this truck. I mean, they're absolutely everywhere. So some of those are definitely going to come off and go into other things, I imagine. I mean, I know it doesn't seem like much when you're sitting here looking at the odds and ends and junk on the floor, but you know, look, we got a socket right here. 3/8 socket. It's an Evercraft. It's nothing great, you know, but you throw that in your bin with all your extra loose junk sockets. These things are a caging tool for brake chambers, and I've seen several of these in this truck. Boy, when you need one of these, you better hope you have one. If you don't know what that does, that releases the brakes on air brakes so that you can drag things around. Another big ticket item here. This is a fuel tank. I think this is around 60 or 80 gallons, something like that. Doesn't sound like it has anything in it, but it does have a nice pump rigged up here on it. Hopefully the pump works. If not, these things are usually fixable, but these are several $100s. I think these are probably in the neighborhood of $400 or $500 now. The tank's another 3 or 4 at least, maybe more. All these parts on the shelves here, I mean, we could sit here and spend a whole day probably rooting through this thing and organizing, and yeah, there's just a lot of good little odds and ends here. Some brake chambers. Nice. Look at these. I didn't even notice these before. These are nice heavy-duty wheel chocks. They're all jammed in there right now. Now it's busted, but we had a trouble light there. Whole cabinet full of different filters and stuff here. You know, this stuff's all pretty expensive. I go through a lot of filters, so it's kind of a crapshoot if they're gonna fit stuff, but like that 3336 filter there, I know I have something that takes that, and I'll bet you a lot of these are usable. Oh, look at that. Sledgehammer. Right there, baby. 12-pound sledgehammer tucked away. Heck yeah. This bench vise here, I mean, it works. The handle's missing. You can see they just threw a bolt in it. Or actually, it's another caging tool is what they put in there. But, you know, throw a piece of all thread in there for another handle, and this will be a usable bench vise. So that's nice to have. I think that's a good 6-inch jaw, too. It's pretty beat up. It's not a real high-end bench vise or anything, but anything's better than nothing when you need it. Shame this bolt bin got wrecked because those things are expensive. Yeah, we have several $100s worth of parts just jammed in here, and I still got to go through all these drawers and see if I find anything cool in here. So this workbench, nice sturdy workbench, and it has the drawer latches on it for being in a mobile service truck, so that's always nice. See, once that's latched, it can't come out. Right. So under here we have a 24 valve, 5.9 liter Cummins diesel. And of course you can't tell much looking at the outside of an engine, but I didn't see any obvious reasons that it wouldn't run. There's no holes in the block or anything like that. And I didn't see any signs of anyone ripping anything apart. A lot of times people start to tear something down to find the problem, realize it's too big for them to fix, or they don't want to put the money into it or whatever, and then they send it to the auction. This thing looks like you just parked it and let it sit. So I'm gonna check all the fluids again. I checked them at the auction and everything was topped up, but just gonna double check now that it's bounced around coming down the road and everything. Engine oil looks good, and it's right on the full, maybe slightly over full. Yeah, the brake fluid's way down there. Maybe don't use the brakes right away. Look at that, the coolant is topped right up to the top, nice and green. Doesn't show any signs of oil being mixed into it, so that's a good sign. Looking down inside the valve cover, best I can tell, no signs of metal shavings or anything, so that's good. I don't know if this thing even spins over yet. I'm about to go hit the key and find out, I guess. This has been charging for a while. I don't know that these batteries are gonna hold enough charge to make this happen, but I think we're gonna go find out. All right, you guys ready? Oh man, you can hear it putting a draw on the Jeep out there. Gotta wait for the wait to start light to go out, and then we're gonna give her a shot. All right, guys ready? Contact. Well, it is spinning the engine over. That's a good sign, but very, very, very slowly. So I think we just need a lot more juice coming into these batteries. All right, the wait to start light is out again. Contact. Nope, nothing. We're gonna have to let this sit for quite a while longer, I think. All right, well, I had the Jeep on here for probably 30 minutes charging these batteries up, and it just wasn't doing it. So I pulled the first battery in the series out here. I guess they're not in series, they're in parallel. But anyway, I threw another one in there that I had in another truck. I don't have two batteries though, or I'd have just switched them both out. But I did check them with the voltmeter. This one's already got 11 volts in it, which is pretty impressive. So maybe these batteries can be brought back. That's good. All right, well, I've concluded that it's just a stupid solenoid on the firewall that's not allowing the starter to engage. So we can just go ahead and reach a wrench down in here and try to manually crank this thing up. Hopefully it goes. You guys ready? Contact. Maybe. Come on. Oh, I think it wanted to go. That was creepy. I'm sitting here trying to crank this thing and that fan just kicks on out of nowhere. I don't like this thing. It might be haunted. All right, one more attempt here. Contact. Come on. I can't even really see what I'm jumping here. I'm just jamming the wrench in. Come on. Woo! Oh, we got oil pressure. Going to the auction. Can you hear the old Cummins just a purring? Oh, it sounds sounds beautiful. It's not even smoking hardly. Oh, this thing's great. Oh, I'm so excited. Blew this whole stinking rat's nest out on the ground here, so now I gotta clean all that crap up. But man, this thing has been sitting here idling for 5 minutes now. This thing sounds great. We're gonna get in there before I even bother to unchain it. We're gonna go in there and put it in reverse and drive and make sure it feels like we got a transmission in it. We also got a brake light on. Probably something to do with the low fluid level in the master cylinder. But park brake off. We are still chained down here, so. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's definitely got forward. How about reverse? Oh yeah. Oh man, I love it. Listen to that thing purr. Alternator shows charging. Oh, we're in good shape here. Good shape. I think we just need to replace a solenoid, and I think it's going to start with a key. Man, this thing runs cherry. I don't know if we should, but I'm going to go ahead and try the air compressor, see if it kicks on. Oh, yeah! Look at that. Look how fast we just built air. Holy crap! Man, this thing puts out some air now. Uh-oh. No, we're dropping back down. That doesn't hardly seem good. Well, all right. Let's see if we can't go for a drive. Started to back off, and we did have some brake pedal, and it seemed like it was holding us, and then all of a sudden, bang, the brake pedal went to the floor and we went backwards. Could have been worse. So we don't have brakes, but we can still drive it around here a little bit. Well, I threw the dog box cover back on here. Much quieter now, so that's good. And kind of got some brake again, but not much. Probably just need bled. Go in reverse. Thank goodness we got the park brake before. Oh yeah. Everything in this thing just rattles and shakes and rolls. Shake, rattle, and roll. That sounds like a song, doesn't it? Fuel gauge shows we even have over half a tank of fuel. compressor works perfectly. So after I unloaded this the other day, I drove it up and down the driveway once or twice, and I just went ahead and parked it. Come back today, figured I'd investigate why this thing won't start with a key, and after probing around a little while and playing with my test light, I figured out it's just a neutral safety switch. Run her back and forth about 20 times or so, and that is a sweet, sweet sound. I was also able to find the odometer finally. We got 156,643.3 miles on this beast. Still 5,000 miles light on the oil change. We don't even need to change the oil yet. I probably will anyways, just for my own peace of mind. But yeah, this is a sweet running little engine here. So not much else to do, but I guess start cleaning up the mess back here. When this thing sits at an auction yard for 2 or 3 years and you have 10,000 people just rummaging through in it, see what they can stick in their pockets and haul off with them, they cause quite a mess. So we're gonna try to get this cleaned up now. So it's looking like we're gonna need some trash bags here, and I was just thinking about running to go find some, and then I looked down and I think the service truck doth provide here. I think these are trash bags. All right, let's get this mess cleaned up. Well, I wouldn't exactly call it 100% yet, but a good initial clean just to figure out where we're at, what's really in this thing. Got everything up off the floor here. I got all this garbage here to throw away. That's nice cardboard for laying on here. This little cutout here, I think that's for a ladder. You could stick a ladder in there if you had to get up on top of a box van. Got all the garbage out of the bins and organized, threw everything away that was no good, only kept the good stuff here. Organized the parts that we had left in here. These are all truck parts. Got some airbags up here, a belt, a couple wipers, random bits of metal down here, good little cheater pipes, stuff like that, nice to have. Air brake parts down here, which are nice. You know, definitely going to be using some of these. I think the auto car needs one of these right now, so might get to that pretty soon. Oh, I missed a filter. I missed 2 filters. Well, look at that. But some more random parts here, more air brake parts. I have to stick these filters back in the filter cabinet here, which I also got organized. Look at that. These are all organized filters here. I don't know that I'll be able to use all these filters, but I'm definitely going to be able to use some of them. I'd call that a vast improvement. I'm sure this is going to come in handy as a nice little workshop in the time being until my building is put up. I think we finally may have a window in the forecast where I can put the fill in that I need to, but progress has been slow on the building front. Woo boy. What do you guys think about that? I think it's safe to say that we scored this go round. We did pretty well at this auction. I still have the man lifts to really work on and get working. And there's a video on the Humvee coming soon, but I think we did pretty well all the way around this time. I think it's safe to say that I am happy with the deal I got on this van. Now, here's where you guys come in. What the heck do I do with this thing? Everybody's gonna say, oh, it's a service truck, you should use it, but it's not. It's a roadside service truck. It really doesn't work for the type of service truck that I need. I need a utility bed service truck with a crane on it, ideally. This truck, being two-wheel drive, would just be a lead sled. You go to a job site, you're just gonna get buried. Also, the thing's kind of big. If I build a service truck, I want it to be also my daily driver, so something about the size of my F-350 or just a little bit bigger. So what do I do with it? Do I strip the drivetrain out of it and keep it for a service truck build like I want to do with the four-door Lodestar eventually? Or do I sell this truck outright as it is? Or do you guys have some sort of crazy idea that I haven't even thought of yet and you're going to tell me down in the comments, and then we're going to do that? I don't know yet. You guys got to tell me. But the old girl's all here and she's all solid and she's pretty much ready to roll. All it really needs is some attention with the brakes and a few other little minor things. All the lights, the best I can tell, work. Even the CB started to work in there. So we're Billy Big rigging now. I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but while I was climbing all around this truck trying to figure some things out on it, I did notice that the PTO generator, the generator unit itself, is still underneath the truck, but the previous owners must have taken the actual PTO off the transmission and the drive shaft that goes to the generator head, because they're not there. So we can't test the generator head, but I'd venture to say it probably works. We just need a PTO to hook it up. I'm not sure what else to say about it, but I'm gonna take the old party wagon for another cruise here. If you guys liked the video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button down below. And as always, thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Later. And the day hath finally come. I've had this tripod since I was a kid, and I knew sooner or later, someday, I was gonna mess it up. I already hit it with the skid steer one time and I was able to fix it, but I don't know if there's any coming back from that. That's pretty well foobar. So this truck belonged to an environmental service group around here. Which actually leads me into a good time for a little story here. I get asked all the time where the name Diesel Creek came from. Well, it was a series of unfortunate events, really. So, as you know, I'm into heavy equipment and stuff, and of course that comes with the baggage, like fuel tanks sitting around and fuel storage issues. And one day I was on a job, like, I don't know, four and a half hours from home, and I got a phone call and said, hey, is this your fuel tank at such and such address? And I said, maybe. Why? Well, apparently it was mud season in PA when the ground is completely saturated and my fuel tank actually sunk into the ground because I had just filled it with fuel. So it sunk into the ground, and when it did, it snapped the drain valve right off the bottom of the tank, which I guess was stupid on my part. I should have had the thing up on solid dirt, but you know, I'm constantly in a process of moving things around and evolving and changing my setup here and growing, and I didn't. So my fault. The thing sunk into the ground, snapped the drain valve off, and all the fuel in this tank went straight down into a leach field behind the house and straight into a French drain and dumped into a creek. So if you don't know anything about the DEP, that's a bad time. So I had fire department, police department, hazmat, the DEP, the DNR, Fish and Wildlife Commission, every wasteful branch of government spending you've never heard of was all in my backyard, and I was 4.5 hours away. So I told my boss, hey, I gotta go. So I hightailed it home and then started the cleanup efforts on that. But in the meantime, they told me, look, you got to get somebody out here to control the damage in the stream. So I had to call the company that owned this very truck. They're an environmental service group, as I said, and they would put protections in the streams and keep things from getting worse than they already were. But anyways, that's the story of how Diesel Creek came to be. There was an article in the paper about the fire department's response to it the next day, and just that Diesel Creek was written in there somewhere in the article or whatever, and it just kind of stuck, and I kind of ran with it. It kind of rolls off the tongue, I think. It's not a proud moment. I'm certainly wasn't ever trying to lose all my fuel and pollute the environment, but it did happen, and it's an unfortunate event. The only shining light there was that the creek that it drained into is already very polluted, and there wasn't much wildlife in there to hurt. So we got out of that one okay. But it was an expensive cleanup, and luckily the fines weren't too bad. I just basically had to pay the cost of the cleanup and a small fine for negligence, which I guess I can't complain too much about that. It pretty much was just negligence, but that's how we got Diesel Creek.